Hi, it's John, and welcome to the channel 5:25 a.m. Sunday, September the 28th. Hope you're having a great Sunday morning. Hope you're having a good weekend as well. I tip my big blue mug to you this morning, and I hope it has been a great week. It's been a lovely week here in Calgary. Feeling the chill in the air this morning, 7 degrees. Who knows, by the end of the week, we could see snow here. We live just east of the Rocky Mountains. But how are things going for you? I'm really kind of interested. How's the cost of living treating you these days, huh? How about food prices? They coming down? Looking for a house? Housing prices? How's that right now? Can you afford a home? Probably not. Things haven't gotten better on any of those fronts, and that's kind of the way things are going right now. You wouldn't know it by what the government's saying. Endless propaganda on social media, but it's not been a good week for the Liberals. I was thinking about Mike Myers this morning, an old skit he used to do on SNL. And then it occurred to me that when it was Mike Myers back during the election campaign, remember him and Carney standing, in front of the boards there, wearing their Team Canada shirts, talking about elbows up. But it was Mike Myers I was thinking about this morning. He used to do a skit on Saturday Night Live. And pardon me if I don't use a Scottish accent, but if it wasn't Scottish, it's crap. Remember that when he used to say that? Well, if it's a Liberal, it's crap, folks. That's kind of maybe the thumbnail for this video because, boy, things are not good right now. It's not been a good week at all. So let's look at a few of the things that have happened this week. And then we can look forward to a couple of things that are coming down the road that are, waiting in line for more Liberal crap. So let's start off with this. You've seen this. I'm not going to play a lot of it, but this is the Parliamentary Budget Office, or interim, talking about Canada and its deficit.
The public debt charges is $53.6 billion, and that projection is going to increase in 2030 to $82.4 billion. Is that sustainable?
Every dollar spent on debt is a dollar that is not spent elsewhere.
Again, how alarming is that for the average Canadian, for the taxpayer? Because there is only one taxpayer, right?
It should be very alarming, right? These are, I don't know, I think I used the words in French, and which the translators probably got really well, like stupefying, shocking.
It's not funny at all. 11 cents of every dollar you give to the government goes to paying our debt right now, and it's unsustainable. Yet they just keep on spending, folks. And then there's Pierre Poilievre in the House of Commons. Big story this week talking about guns. I'm going to tell you what he should be saying in the House of Commons as well in just a moment. Maybe he should catch on to this, but here he is talking about guns.
But his own Minister of Public Safety says this government is doing it wrong. He was caught on tape saying the program won't work, and yet they are going to rip $750 million away from our border and police services to harass duck hunters and farmers by banning the firearms they use. This approach has led to a 130% increase in gun crime under the Liberals' watch. The police say they won't implement it. The minister says it's a bad idea, but they're only doing it for political reasons. Why is the Prime Minister putting lives at risk for politics?
So I'm going to limit Mark Carney in this video. You don't have to watch too much of him here, but he's got no answer for this. Not one at all, because he knows Poilievre's right, just like he knew he was right on housing. That's why they started talking about housing during the election. He knew he was right on crime. That's why they talked about that. He knew he was right when it came to car theft. But here's what he had to say about this gun confiscation program, and that's what it is, this buyback program that's going to fail because it's the Liberals, because everything they do is corrupt.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I don't even know where to begin with that.
He doesn't know where to begin because he's got no answer. It's just the same old, same old. Look at this article here from the National Post. Finally, a Liberal tells the truth about gun confiscations. Poilievre talked about this. The public safety minister, there he is right now. This guy with his alleged connections with the Tamil Tigers, by the way, but we won't get into that. Public safety minister admits it's impossible to enforce. It also punishes hunters and sport shooters $750 million, folks. But as I said the other day, this has been going on for 30 years with the Liberals. This takes me back again to Alan Rock. And I found this today from openparliament.ca. And this is actually a speech he made in the House of Commons, November 27th, 1996. Listen to what he says here. I'm only going to read a little bit, first couple of paragraphs here. Listen to what he says about what they're trying to accomplish 30 years ago, because this was passed back in 1995. Mr. Speaker, the key elements of this government's gun control policy are now well known. Last December 5th, legislation was adopted and given royal assent, which acts on those elements. That law imposed tough criminal penalties on those who choose to use firearms in the commission of crimes. It banned several military-type assault weapons. It banned most handguns. We've taken strong measures to deter the smuggling and illegal movement of firearms. All of this while respecting the legitimate interests of law-abiding firearms owners who use their guns for hunting, sport shooting, and collecting. It does none of these things. It did none of these things, and it ended up costing $1 billion, 500 times what it should have cost. Pierre Poilievre should be bringing this up in the House of Commons. For 30 years, Mr. Speaker, the Liberals have been going after Canadian gun owners who do absolutely nothing wrong, who have committed no crimes. And the first time they did this back in 1995, it cost $1 billion. And they say it's going to cost $750 million. It will likely cost a lot more, and they're not going to get the guns back. There's this here. The Liberals just can't leave duck hunters alone. But folks, they're going to kill those freaking ostriches. They won't let you get one bird if you're a legal gun owner, but if you have a farm in BC that's got a bunch of ostriches, the government's going to kill them. Then we move on to this. Why the courts aren't likely to save the BC ostriches? I said this the other day, folks. I hate to tell you, but I think the ostriches are doomed. Then we move on to this. Now, I have to give the CBC some credit here, but I'm going to take it away from them in just a moment. Carney government quietly dropped more U.S. counter tariffs than advertised. Well, what a big surprise that is. Here's the report on the CBC.
The Canadian government will now match the United States by removing all of Canada's tariffs on U.S. goods specifically covered under CUSMA.
Now, almost a month later, we've learned that's actually not what happened. Canada has removed all counter tariffs, regardless of whether a good was CUSMA compliant, except for, of course, the sectoral tariffs on steel, aluminum, and auto.
Poilievre tweeted out this morning, why the lie? Well, because you can't spell liberal without L, I, and E, folks. What else do I have to say about this? What else do I have to say? Here we go. So, everything that's liberal turns to crap, folks. Here he is talking about China this week. Guy's flying all over the world in a big jet, spreading his CO2 everywhere. I'm not even going to really talk much about this because I get throttled. My videos get throttled here, folks. And it's happening all the time.
In my experience with China, they are, amongst other things, very sincere and engaged on.
China is the biggest polluter in the world. Like real pollution, folks. We're not talking about CO2 here, real pollution. And it's been said so many times before. What are they building? A coal-fired plant every week. And then what do we get from the Prime Minister as he flies around the world trying to stay out of the House of Commons because God forbid he should be there with Pierre Poilievre, who absolutely destroys him every time he opens up his mouth. But here he is begging the world for investment.
Well, in the UK, I've met with business and investment leaders to discuss new economic opportunities and partnerships as we look to attract capital to Canada and to empower Canadian workers with new high-quality careers.
What are the high-quality careers he's talking about? Well, I can't say exactly, but I think it has to do with the previous video I just showed you when he talked about China, praising them for their work on a specific subject, which I don't want to talk about here because they'll just throttle my videos on YouTube. But I think those are the jobs he's talking about. Meanwhile, he wants countries to invest in us, and my premier here keeps bitching that she can't get any investment here because the government gets in the way of our oil and gas industry out here. Thousands and thousands of jobs will be lost or not be created because of this government, because everything the Liberals do is crap. And here's what's coming down the road, folks. This story right here in Juno News, this is just from a couple of days ago. Pretty soon you won't be able to hear from people like me because the government's going to go on their crusade for online censorship run by this guy, Mr. Failing Up, Stephen Guilbeault, guy who got thrown in jail. He's now been environment minister. What is he heading? Heritage and Canadian, whatever he does, Canadian identity. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's going to go after people for saying things on the air. And then there's this as well. And I talked about the CBC earlier for breaking that story. Good for them. But folks, you're going to get a lot more CBC in the future because you probably forgot Carney said this during the election campaign.
If elected, my government will take action to enshrine and protect and strengthen CBC Radio Canada.
He's going to spend more money on this. The funding for it will only go up. You'll never get rid of it. You're not going to defund the CBC. It's never going to go away. This is coming probably before Christmas. Be prepared for that. You're going to get the Online Harms Act hate crime bills here. If you want to see what that's all about, look what happened in Scotland. I'm actually working on a video on that right now. It's an absolute nightmare. You're seeing what's happening in England right now. You put something on X. Come down to the police station with me. It's coming, folks. Bad week for the Liberals. Bad months coming ahead for Canada and for my province of Alberta. And there's probably more that I missed. Pretty sad, isn't it? Again, the online keyboard warriors, perfectly fine with this. What a genius Mark Carney is. What a genius. Economic genius. Bank of Canada, Bank of England. Oh, what a genius. Could have done with Poilievre. I think we've been doing a lot better right now. A lot better. Thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications. I tip my big blue mug to you. Have yourself a great weekend, and I'll see you in the next one.